Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive deep into the world of the Doors,
Absolutely going way beyond the hits everyone knows.
peeling back the layers.
Uncovering a story as complex and compelling as their music.
Expect some unexpected twists and turns.
As we explore their origins.
The rise to fame.
And that enigmatic Jim Morrison.
Their name itself, far from just a cool sound.
It hints at something deeper, don't you think?
Intellectual, philosophical even.
Right, running through their music.
So where did the Doors come from?
Aldous Huxley, actually. His book, The Doors of Perception.
Oh, right. And that was referencing, what was it again?
William Blake. If the doors of perception were cleansed.
Everything would appear to man as it is. Infinite.
Exactly. So, you see, more than just catchy tunes.
Expanding consciousness. Was that the goal?
Opening minds to new possibilities.
And this was all happening, well, think of the timing.
What do you mean?
Huxley himself. He died the same day as JFK.
November 22nd, 1963. Wow, I never made that connection.
A turning point, right?
For America, certainly. Early 60s optimism.
Gone.
More turbulent, uncertain.
And that's the world the Doors emerged from.
Their music, a reflection of that, I'd say.
Anxieties, yearning for change, all there.
Absolutely. To really analyze them, you need that backdrop.
More than just a band, then.
A cultural force tapping into it all.
A generation grappling with war.
Social upheaval. Shifting identities.
And Jim Morrison's own life adds to this.
What do you mean?
His family. Not widely known, but his father was a Rear Admiral.
U.S. Navy.
And not just any Rear Admiral. Big role in the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Hold on, the Gulf of Tonkin. But that escalated the Vietnam War.
The irony, right.
Morrison, the counterculture icon.
Voice of rebellion against the war.
His own father helped fuel the conflict. Mind-blowing.
Powerful juxtaposition, isn't it?
Internal conflict, maybe?
Between family's military background.
His anti-establishment views.
Did that tension shape him, make him rebellious?
Worth considering, that's for sure.
Adds a whole other layer to understanding him.
Rebel, yes. But also product of the system he fought.
Let's go back to the beginning, though.
Before the fame. The controversy.
Their first gig. London Fog, right?
Unconventional, how they got it.
Ooh. Tell me more.
They understood perception. Friends packed the club during their audition.
To make them look popular.
Illusion of a huge fan base.
Clever.
Manager bought it, hired them on the spot.
Faked it till they made it, as they say.
Hustle and ambition, classic music industry story.
But it wasn't always smooth sailing.
What do you mean?
The Whiskey A Go-Go.
Legendary venue.
House band, right.
Nah.
But then they got fired.
Their performance of the end?
Too much for the management.
Dark themes, that Oedipal stuff.
Morrison's unpredictable, as always.
It was a turning point. Ascent to notoriety began right there.
And Oedipal, just so everyone's clear.
Yeah, go for it.
That psychoanalytic concept.
Greek myth, Oedipus killed his father, married his mother, the whole thing.
Subconscious desires, right.
Exactly. And the end explored those themes.
Captivating, but unsettling, too.
A sign of things to come.
Morrison's performances, more provocative.
Blurring lines between art and spectacle.
Clashes with authority, over and over.
And not just on stage, his personal life, too.
Those legal battles.
Oh, yeah. 1967 New Haven concert.
Arrested on stage.
Indecent or immoral exhibition, they called it.
First time for a rock star, right? Mid-performance, no less.
Rebellious image solidified after that.
All stemming from that police officer backstage.
Before the show even started.
Morrison, enraged, told the audience everything.
Poured fuel on the fire.
Public perception changed.
No longer just charismatic.
Used dangerous.
Countercultural defiance. Threat.
And then in Miami,
1969.
things took a turn.
Indecent exposure, that was the accusation.
Murky details to this day.
But public outrage was real.
Tours canceled, legal battles.
Convicted in the end.
Sentenced to 6 months.
Died in Paris before the appeal.
The price of fame, right?
The pressure on these individuals.
And the controversy didn't end there.
What do you mean?
2010 posthumous pardon.
Florida Governor Charlie Crist.
Lack of conclusive evidence, they said.
Debate continues. What really happened that night?
So many unanswered questions.
It's part of what makes the Doors so fascinating, don't you think?
Artistic brilliance.
Personal demons.
Cultural upheaval, all mixed up.
Captured the spirit of their time.
And still resonate with us today.
Making us question, explore.
Delve deeper into their world.
That Miami incident, it cast such a long shadow over everything.
Turning point, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. A descent, darker, more turbulent.
The tours they had to cancel. The legal battles dragging on.
A public scrutiny intense.
It took its toll, you can hear it.
On Morrison, especially.
Retreating further, maybe.
Finding solace where he could.
Alcohol, drugs.
Some say it was self-destruction.
A reaction to the pressures, maybe?
Fame, legal troubles, it all added up.
Others see it differently, though.
Oh, how so?
An extension of his artistic persona, they argue.
Pushing boundaries. Challenging those societal norms.
That rebellious streak. Think about it.
What are you getting at?
His father, the Rear Admiral. Yeah. Could that have amplified it all?
Complex relationship, for sure.
And then the Vietnam War on top of it.
Which his father helped escalate.
Exactly. Imagine that tension.
On one hand, the military establishment.
And on the other, the son.
The counterculture icon.
Railing against everything his father stood for.
It's a lot to unpack, emotionally.
Behind the music, the persona.
Real people, real struggles.
How'd that impact their creative output, I wonder?
Their music became a reflection of it, in a way.
Those tensions you mentioned.
Raw, unsettling.
Alienation, rebellion, search for meaning.
In a world that felt out of control.
Break on through.
The Unknown Soldier. Those weren't just catchy tunes.
For
generation disillusioned with everything.
And then there's that other side of Morrison.
Which one's that?
The shamanism. Native American rituals.
He incorporated those, didn't he?
Into their performances.
Pushing the boundaries even further.
Challenging societal norms, as always.
He was fascinated by transcending the mundane.
Breaking free.
Tapping into something. Primal.
Powerful.
His performances, they became ritualistic almost.
Blurring lines, for sure. Music and performance art.
But that exploration of the darker side.
Combined with the substance abuse, it took a toll.
His health, his behavior.
Erratic.
Miami, I think, that was the turning point.
Downhill from there.
Legal battles, the bad press, pressure from the label even.
It all weighed on him.
And then Paris, 1971.
27 years old.
Found dead in his bathtub.
Heart failure, they said.
Officially, at least.
But the circumstances.
Shrouded in mystery.
Speculation runs wild.
Heroin overdose, some people believe.
Others say he faked his death.
To escape the pressure, the fame.
And just 3 years later, Pamela Corson.
His girlfriend.
Heroin overdose.
The darkness beneath the glamour.
The destructive power of addiction.
It's a tragic reminder.
Morrison's death. Like his life. It's still captivating.
Intriguing.
Père Lachaise Cemetery.
His grave there. A pilgrimage site, almost.
Fans from all over.
Drawn to the mystique.
The enduring power of his legend.
True to his own spirit.
His epitaph.
Fitting tribute.
Live life on his own terms.
Defying convention. Embracing the unknown.
The Doors. They tried to go on without him.
Did they?
Considered Iggy Pop, even.
To replace Morrison. Wow.
Couldn't replicate the magic, though.
Of course not.
Each of them went their own way, creatively.
What did they get up to?
Manzarek collaborated with Michael McClure, you know, the beat poet.
Interesting.
Krieger's son, he formed a band. With Miles Davis's son and Barry Oakley's son.
A convergence of legacies, that's for sure.
In Densmore, he focused on writing. Activism.
His drumming, though.
The tinnitus, it cut his career short.
A shame. What about Morrison's poetry?
Published posthumously.
Yeah.
Another side of him, you know.
Revealing, I bet.
His inner world.
Yeah.
Symbolism, mythology, the human psyche.
Fascinated by it all.
And of course, there's the Oliver Stone film.
The Doors, right, with Val Kilmer.
1991.
Introduced a whole new generation to them.
Revived interest in the music, even with the controversy.
Controversial how?
Dramatic liberties, some say.
Portrayal of Morrison, maybe?
Episodic, self-destructive.
Kilmer, though, he nailed the intensity, at least.
That charisma.
Hard to capture that on film.
Forrest Gump, too. Remember that?
Sure.
More Doors songs than any other band in that movie.
Their sound, it became synonymous with the time, didn't it?
Social, political upheaval.
Still resonates today.
It's a testament to their power, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Transcending generations, connecting with people.
The themes, they're still relevant.
The rebellion, longing, that search for meaning.
A soundtrack for those who feel out of step.
With the mainstream, you mean?
Exactly. And there's so much more to their story.
Beyond the surface, right?
Intriguing details, connections.
Adding depth, complexity.
The Morrison Hotel, for example.
Yeah. The one on the album cover?
Real place. Downtown Los Angeles.
No way.
In disrepair today, sadly.
Nothing like that iconic image.
And Morrison, he was married, you know.
Legally? You know that?
Not officially. Wiccan ceremony.
Oh.
Trisha Keneally. A science fiction writer, actually.
It tells you something about his interests, doesn't it?
Eclectic. Attraction to the mystical, the unconventional.
Yeah, he was a complex individual, that's for sure.
Behind the rock star facade.
Diverse interests, intellectual curiosity.
He read voraciously,
Philosophy, poetry, spirituality.
Always seeking knowledge, expanding his understanding.
How did all that shape his artistry, I wonder?
He was a poet, a performer,
A provocateur.
and ultimately a tragic figure.
Leaving a mark on music and culture that's undeniable.
But it's not just about Jim Morrison.
Right, the whole
4 individuals coming together.
Creating something unique, powerful.
A sound that captured a moment in time.
And still speaks to us today.
It's amazing, even after all we've learned, there's still more to discover.
Little things,
Adding to the mystique.
You see them in a new light.
Morrison's middle name, for instance, Douglas. A tribute to General Douglas MacArthur.
Really? I had no idea.
And his father, the Rear Admiral, well,
What about him?
he wanted Jim to follow in his footsteps. Military career, the whole thing.
Wow. Talk about complex family dynamics.
Especially back then. All that social and political upheaval.
Morrison rejecting those expectations, embracing the counterculture.
A powerful statement.
Defiance, a declaration of independence.
And speaking of defiance,
What do you mean?
remember how the Doors got fired from the whiskey?
Oh, right, their residency.
The place that became synonymous with their success.
Ironic, isn't it?
They were too much, even for them.
The end, that performance.
Morrison, unpredictable, as always.
The management couldn't handle it.
But that boldness, taking risks.
It's what made them stars.
First band with an album advertised on a billboard.
Think about that.
Their label had that much confidence.
And they did it all without a bass player.
No official one, anyway.
Session musicians for the albums.
Adaptable. Focused on their unique sound.
Breaking the mold.
Even their connections to other musicians.
Like what?
Morrison's girlfriend at one point, she worked at a boutique.
A boutique.
Owned by Slash's mother.
Wait, Slash? From Guns N' Roses.
Small world, isn't it?
The music industry, it's all connected somehow.
Real lives behind the fame, the music.
And interwoven in ways we can't even imagine.
Chance encounters, little details.
Shaping the course of history.
And then there's the UCLA connection.
Morrison and Manzarek, right.
Film school. With Francis Ford Coppola.
Years later, Apocalypse Now.
He uses the end.
Perfect choice. The darkness, the madness of the war.
Morrison's lyrics, they added another layer to it all.
Enduring power of their music, transcending time, finding new meaning.
Brilliance, rebellion, tragedy.
It's all there in the Doors story.
Their music captured the times.
And their lives, especially Morrison's.
Triumphs and demons all mixed up.
Creativity from chaos, you could say.
Beauty and darkness.
That search for meaning, it's a lifelong journey.
The Doors invited us to question, to explore.
Break free from those conventions.
Embrace the unknown.
They pushed boundaries, challenged norms.
Left a legacy that's still inspiring, still provoking.
Their music.
A testament to the spirit of rebellion.
The search for authenticity.
That timeless quest for something more.